is up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about my most anticipated movie releases for December. You guys seem to really enjoy the one that I did for October. I actually didn't do one for November. I honestly just got super busy with midterms and couldn't find the time to do my research properly and find the ones that I was really super excited about, but I figured that we can do one for December. I feel like there always tends to be not very many movie and book releases in December. I don't know if it's because of the way the awards are given out, you're not given as much time to make a huge difference if it's a yearly thing, like best movies of 20, you know what I mean? You don't get enough build up if it's based on a year. So I know a lot of book publishers wait to publish books until January, which is why January is always such a huge month for book releases, and I'm not sure if it's the same for movies, but that would make sense, I suppose, in some ways. But I will say that in case you guys are wondering, I'm not going to be doing a most anticipated book releases for December video because there aren't enough. There aren't enough book releases that I'm interested about. There's actually none that I'm actually interested about for December. So I didn't do a blog post, which is always linked down below if you're interested in these videos, but blog format, and I'm not going to post a video for it. So just in case you're one of the people that really like those videos or wanted a video, expect one for January, maybe even 2 for January because there's so many releases, but not one for December. There are enough movies though. There's still not very many movies being released this December, but there are enough that I'm interested about that I thought that we could talk about them. So the first one comes out November 20th, and it is obviously Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. I'm so excited for this. This was probably one of my most anticipated movie releases for the entire year. I was really excited for this one. Clearly, as a Star Wars fan, you'd be excited for this. In anticipation and our excitement, Girk and I actually went as Rey and Kylo for Halloween. So that was a super good time. That was dope. That was a lot of fun to put together. But yeah, I'm just really excited to see how they wrap up Skywalker and that whole journey and that group of people. There's no doubt that they're going to continue the Star Wars line, I feel like, but it will be interesting to see how they wrap up Skywalker and these specific characters, if that makes sense. So that's probably my most anticipated. My theater is actually sold out for tickets for December already. There are some tickets, but the seating is assigned and there aren't 2 seats together. So I was Girk and I can just wait until January to go. So I'm not super I'm not gonna see it this month, but I will definitely see it within a month that it's out, I'm sure. And it's definitely one I'm gonna go to theaters for, no doubt. Next one comes out on Christmas, so December 25th. And it is called Just Mercy. It's based on a true story about a lawyer, Brian Stevenson, who after graduating law school decides to go to Alabama to help people who have been wrongly convicted or on death penalty but weren't given proper representation. This is actually a book, a non-fiction book, so this is a true story. It's actually a non-fiction book called Just Mercy. I think it's by Brian Stevenson himself, if I'm not mistaken. And Girk's actually the one who brought that book to my attention, and then the movie's coming out this month. The film, I know for sure, focuses on one main case, I think, that he had, this lawyer had, about a guy who was wrongly convicted of murdering an 18-year-old girl. And there was a ton of evidence that proved that he was innocent, and yet he was facing the death penalty. So I'm sure it's going to be super heartbreaking, really intense, suspenseful. It's devastating that it's based on a true story, and it makes it that much more grappling, I feel like. But the lineup of cast is amazing. It's Michael B. Jordan, Brie Larson, Jamie Foxx. I just think it's going to be fantastic, and I'm really excited to see how they represent and portray this true story that really happened with this particular case, and just the backlash that I know this lawyer faced being in Alabama at that time period, trying to stand up for people of color that were wrongly convicted, most likely because they are just people of color. So I'm really excited to see this movie. The next one comes out also on Christmas, and it's called 1917. It's a early World War I story about these 2 soldiers that are given a mission to go all the way across the territory I'm not quite sure exactly where it's set, but all the way across the territory to deliver a message that will stop like an attack that will kill a ton of people. So they're trying to like stop this attack, and I just think it looks amazing. The trailer, what I'm excited for about this one is, if you guys watch these videos at all normally, or my What I Watch videos, then you know I hate action movies, but I love war movies. There's something different about it for me. I'm not quite sure why, but I hate like action-y, like typically like superhero, mob, that type of action movie, or just like guns and cars and stuff. So there's something about a war story that I can really appreciate. The trailer for this one made it seem like it was more focused on the suspense of the journey than the actual like action of war, but it does seem really violent and really intense. But I think that it'll definitely be, it seems like it's a little bit more suspenseful in nature than anything else. Next one is called Clemency, and it comes out December 27th, and it is about a prison warden who has been like executing these people on death row for years and years and years, and it's like finally catching up to her, like the psychological damage, and it causes her to have like this really weird relationship or connection with the next man that she's supposed to execute. So it's kind of like their story and her breakdown and then breakthrough, and it just again looks really suspenseful. With this and 1917, it really seems like there's this like introduction of taking these genres that are typically more action-packed or a little bit intense and almost bringing like a psychological thriller, really suspenseful like sub-genre to them. So like a war movie, but it's more suspenseful, kind of like a crime movie, but then you're adding in like this almost psychological thriller aspect to it. And I just think that that's really fantastic. It's definitely making these types of movies more meaningful, in my opinion, like a little bit more deep. And this one looks like it's going to be really, really good and intense. The trailer, it doesn't look like it's going to be like my favorite movie of the year or even the month, probably. That's hard to say though, because it's up against Star Wars. I do think that it was definitely worth a mention. I think that it is still going to be a good movie. It's just not one that I feel like I would jump to theaters to see. Next one is called The Mandela Effect, and it comes out December 6th. This one seems from the trailer like it's about a man whose daughter passes away, I think, or goes missing, and after that he becomes obsessed with the Mandela Effect and other parallel universes and the opportunity for a different outcome, and he absolutely becomes obsessed with the way that people misremember things, or the fact that there are these parallel universes, and he starts questioning like reality and everything that's happening around him. I've always been really interested actually in the Mandela Effect and parallel universes, so I think this movie will be like a really good, again, kind of psychological thriller, more sci-fi focused though, and I think it's gonna be great. I'm interested to see how they, you know, work around the Mandela Effect, the real conspiracy theory or phenomenon, and I'm just excited to see how they're gonna like play it out and what it's gonna end, because the Mandela Effect is something that most, I would say a lot, I don't know about most, but I would say a lot of people believe in because of parallel universes and the possibility of that mixing, and so I'm interested to see how they're gonna end it, like the movie, you know? The next one comes out December 13th, and that is Black Christmas, which is a remake of the 1974 movie Black Christmas. This is about a group of college students who on winter break get stalked by this stranger who's like trying to kill them, I'm pretty sure. I've actually never seen the original, but I just learned about it from this new trailer. From what I've seen and like researched about the older movie, it definitely seems like they took that concept or that the main ideas around the movie and turned it into definitely a more like 21st century type of horror movie. You'll see in a lot of horror movies these days, and even just while looking through trailers for December and January, it seems like most horror movies these days have some sort of like comedy or witty background to them. It's really rare. I don't think I saw for December an entire horror movie that didn't have some sort of comedic background. So it's like this really interesting trend of just like blending those two genres that's been around for a couple of years now. From what I've seen and just knowing trends back then, the original didn't seem to have that, but the trailer for this new one seems to add in that really comical sense to a horror movie. It still looks like it's going to be pretty spooky. It's definitely more of like a slasher film. I mean, it is a remake of a 70s movie, so it's going to be that classic horror 70s, classic pop-out type of movie. But you can even just tell by the music and the cinematography that they're definitely trying to add that comedic value to it. I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think it would be really interesting to watch the original and then watch this one and just be able to see how they added in and made it more with the trends these days. I feel like a lot of remakes just try to do the exact same thing, but that's kind of where they fall down, because what I feel like is interesting in remaking something, which I'm not a fan of remakes normally even, but what I think is interesting or respectable in a remake is being able to take that same concept but then wrap it around to make it somehow a 21st century or whatever time it is, a modern contemporary style. I don't think this is going to be the best like horror movie or comedy horror movie ever, I really don't. But I do think it would be an interesting add to like a holiday watch list. I think that it would be a good like November movie to watch every year or something. Just, you know, get in the mood for Christmas as you're just leaving Halloween. Like, I don't know. I think it would be kind of good. And the last one, I'm anticipating it because I feel like I'm anticipating if it's going to go well or not, and that is Cats, which comes out December 20th. I will say this cast lineup is incredible. I feel like they took so many people that are multi-talented in both acting and musical ability and just kind of threw them in this movie. Like, the cast lineup is absolutely fantastic. I know from reading YouTube comments, which I know is not the source of all things understanding or empathetic, but I was reading through YouTube comments on a couple of people talking about this movie, and a lot of people say that the CGI for this is the worst they've ever seen, and I have to disagree. People are comparing it to like the original Sonic when they first did the Sonic and everyone was like no, so they redid it. People are saying like, okay, waiting for them to redo this like they did for Sonic, but that original Sonic, in my opinion, is nowhere near the CGI level of Cats. Like, I think they did what they could, all things considered. Obviously, I feel like it could be better, but I feel like our expectations are getting so much higher and higher and higher. It's like, what do you want? So, I don't know. I feel like from the trailer, it looks like it's going to be all right. I think it actually looks pretty decent, but apparently a lot of people are really pissed about this. So, I'm not really sure. That's why it's on my most anticipated, honestly, is because it already seems so hated, but the cast is so amazing. The original story, it's obviously a classic musical. It's one of the biggest known ones. Very good. So I'm interested if the CGI problem is really what's going to make people hate it when I don't think it's that bad. That is everything. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I was actually thinking, and I wanted to know your guys' opinion on this, of doing like watching all of these movies on my anticipated list, and then whenever I finish all of them, making a video that's like, how did I end up liking my most anticipated movies of that month? Because like for October, I've already seen I think 2, I think I only had like 6, and I've seen 2 already, and they were both 5 stars. So I think it would be really interesting to go back and be like, okay, that was your most anticipated, how did you end up actually feeling about it? Just to see if I know myself, to see if I know what I'll be anticipating and enjoying. But let me know what you guys think. I just thought that might be kind of a fun video to do whenever I end up finishing all of them for like that specific month. Because I feel like since a lot of these are going to theaters, it would be hard to watch all of them by the next month, you know? But I just thought by the time that I watch all of them, I thought it might be interesting to do. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to like it if you did like it, subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified every time that I upload. And yeah, leave me a comment letting me know what you think about kind of that like wrap up, what did I think concept, and let me know what you're most excited for December. I feel like there's some good movies coming out, but I also feel like December, there's always like a lack, like what I was talking about earlier, so I'm not quite sure. I hope that you guys have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!
Perfect.